Hello and welcome to This is Metal with Tom Collier. My name is Jason JROCK Houston. Our special guest today is Annie B, who is signed to Fire Rock music group. And that's part of the reason we're having Annie on because we want to thank the label for sponsoring This is Metal. And, I got to tell you, Annie, before we get started with today's interview, part of the reason we're also having you on is you played a big role, probably not even knowing it, with Tom becoming the new co-host for This is Metal. And that had to
Really?
do with, remember the interview we did
Yeah.
a couple of months back with Ethan Brosh and some other artists? You guys had done a concert together, and prior to you guys doing the show, Tom had called and said, "Hey, I have a show coming up July 9th. Would you mind if I came on and you interviewed me again? We could talk about the show." And that was kind of all I knew. I said, "Oh, okay, sure, Tom. You're welcome here anytime." And then our mutual friend David Schenkel, I happened to go to work the day of the interview, and I get an email from David, kind of not even expecting I was going to be hearing from him. It says, "Oh, by the way, Annie's going to be on your interview today." I'm like, "Annie,
Uh-huh.
who's Annie?" And then so I'm kind of trying to figure, because I take real pride in knowing who I'm interviewing and all that, and getting everything right and dates and times. And so when Tom comes to do the interview that day, I'm kind of surprised. Not only, okay, well, I'll see who this Annie is, and then I knew I was going to be, and then Ethan Broth kind of pops on, and then come to find out, Tom kind of set this up behind the scenes without me knowing. But I got to say, it was one of the funnest interviews I ever did. And
Really?
because, just kind of spontaneous and off the cuff. And so when my former co-host told me he was unable to do the show anymore, I got to say, after that experience, Tom was probably one of like three people I thought of. And the funny thing is, when I asked Tom, it was just because he's such a nice guy. I've interviewed him many times over the years. I dig his music and his band, and I thought he'd be the perfect kind of co-host. And then after I asked him, not even knowing at the time, he informed me, "Oh, by the way, I just became the president of Fire Rock Music Group." And he goes, "You know what?" He goes, "I would love to do this show with you." And it has been a ton of fun. It's a decision I've never had any regrets about. It's one of the best decisions I feel, and it's kind of cool the way it's worked out. Because the label is also sponsoring the show, so I just want people to kind of understand. You had a little bit, I guess, without even really knowing it, was Tom becoming the co-host, and how cool is that?
That is so awesome. I love it.
Yeah. So let's get into Annie B. Let's talk about your music now. You're signed to Fire Rock Music Group. So how did that happen? Did they reach out to you? Did you send them a package?
Well, my manager, I think, has been talking to them for quite some time, and the communication went on for a while, I think, before actually something happened. And I was like, he was like talking about me and talking about me and talking about me and wouldn't stop talking about me. That's what I heard from Tom.
Well,
Yeah, he wouldn't
that's what
take
you
no for an
need.
answer. He was going to get Annie signed no matter what. He said, "You got to do it. You got to listen. You got to listen." I said, "We got so many artists talking." He said, "Nope, listen to Annie. Listen to Annie." So we listened to her, and I'm happy we did.
So let me ask you, Tom. How much of it was the manager versus Annie's talent? I'm sure once you heard it, you were like just blown away. But
I'm happy that he kept after me because I was like, I don't know what we're going to do. We're looking at super heavy song. As soon as I heard her album, it was like everybody in the Fire Rock said, "We got to sign her."
and I got to tell
Great
people,
songs, great music, great voice,
I love
everything.
it. Thank you.
and I got to tell people because Annie's the first guest we've had on This Is Metal that honestly I wouldn't say that she's a metal act, and so people are probably asking, why would you have somebody like that on? And like I said, number one at the top of the show here today, she signed to Fire Rock Music Group, and so they do us a huge honor of sponsoring the show. So we want to highlight some of their artists, and yet Tom had sent me some of your tracks, Annie, to listen to, and I was quite impressed. And it definitely is not metal or hard rock. Tom described it kind of as Alanis Morissette kind of a vibe. I get that. I get a little bit of a Janis Joplin. I called it, I think, melodic rock with an attitude.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll take it.
How would you describe your sound?
Well, there's definitely something quirky
Yeah.
about me that I kind of I don't shy away from. I mean, there's a song on the CD that is completely a quirky song. It's an a cappella song, and it's called Better Religion. And it's just really kind of just out there, kind of quirky, and it's, you know, it's fun, and that's part of who I am as an artist, which I can't knock it. I can't like not be that way. I mean, that's who I am. I'm just quirky and kind of, I have my little
Well, you know,
weirdnesses that I'm not going to try and like hide them. I'm not going to hide who I am.
yeah, you know, it's way before your time here, Annie, but like Frank Sinatra saying, got to do it my way, you know, so it's
Yeah.
kind of, you got to do it your way. You got to be who you are.
Yeah, and it is melodic. I think the guys from Fire Rock said it's melodic rock, and so there is some sort of rock, you know, element
Yeah, yeah.
in this music, and it's definitely just like I said, the quirkiness and the kind of off the beaten path.
But they're great songs too, and you've written some great songs and production on it. Everything is excellent. I mean, she went
Talk
top.
about the songwriting, because that's a key factor in any success of any artist or any band. Like, do you have any co-writers? Do you write everything on your own? What's that process
So-
like for you?
So Josh Christian and his band is Toxic. Josh Christian's band, which is a metal artist. He was the producer of this record, and so he's very eclectic. He's like all over the place. He's done like some Christian rock, I think, obviously metal and rock. And so I have to tell you, this record is the first record where I just let the producer be the producer. All of my past records have been co-produced, and this was co-produced by me as well. But I've never let go of the reins to this extent in my life in any of my CDs. And it was really scary at first because I've always been in control. And I let Josh just do whatever he heard, and he shared his ideas with me. And all of the ideas are like, you know, this is really cool. And so what he did with some of the songs, I never, ever would have come up with those ideas myself. And so working with Josh has been an amazingly positive experience. Like, okay, I don't have to be in control of everything. And so we did write a couple songs. We co-wrote a song called Can't Get Enough and All Day in Bed.
Wow, I like that without even hearing it.
Yeah. And then he actually wrote most of a song called Remember Me.
Wow.
And so there was some co-writing more on the lyrics for that song, because all of the music on that song was completely written by Josh. So it was really fun to be able to write with somebody new. I never worked with them before.
Is this the first time you've collaborated with a co-writer, or have you done that before?
I have, and most of the time it's been like with a band, and we would start with like a drum beat. And then I'd play a guitar lick that would go along with that or something like that. It was completely just in the rehearsal space.
Wow.
And so this is the first time where it was more just like, because I mean, Josh lives in Syracuse. I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So everything was over Zoom.
Wow.
Putting these ideas together.
Yeah.
You know, we couldn't play together because of the latency issue.
Sure.
And so it was really cool to be able to do something different like that. I've never written like that before.
Talking about inspiration or new, kind of a new way of doing things. I mean, I got to be honest. Just this year, you know, I started doing these interviews over video. A lot of fun, but I was kind of apprehensive because I'm not too tech savvy. But I had a friend kind of educate me, and I'm glad he did. And you know, so it's the same type of thing. Now, let me ask you, Tom, being the record company president, and as a fellow singer yourself and songwriter, what was it about Annie's music that really impressed you? Or
Well, first of all, she's got an incredible voice. Love her voice. And I thought the songs were very good. And I'd seen some videos of her. She's got stage presence. She's a seasoned musician, and she knows what it takes to make it. And I think that was a lot of it too. But she had great songs, and she went to the top people. Some of it was recorded in Syracuse, correct? The Subcat.
Wow.
And then she brought in this top. Who was the guy you brought in to mix it?
Joel Wanasek,
Yeah,
and
Joel
he
Wanasek.
recently did a bunch of work with Scott Stapp.
Wow, quite impressive there. Yeah.
Yeah.
She brought in top people, and she really has went after it. She's doing it the right way. And matter of fact, her album cover is being designed by a friend of ours, Mark Lopes, right? Am I
Wow.
correct?
Oh
Ian?
yeah. Oh yeah. He did such a great job on the album cover. It was really, really cool. Amazing. Like his concepts are really cool. And then of course, Dave Schenkel
Yeah.
is on one of the songs.
Yeah. Cool.
And Eddie Panagua. How do you pronounce Eddie's last name? This is embarrassing.
Pagua. I can't remember. Yeah.
From
Great
Puya.
drummer. Yeah. Great
Drummer
drummer.
from Puya.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
Puya. Puya.
Yeah.
But they tour all over the place. I mean, they're a Latin rock band, and they tour all over.
Wow. That is super impressive. And so Annie, let me ask you, I don't know if it was you, but it looked like it was you. I was searching on YouTube last night for some of your music, some of your older stuff. I came across a video. I think it was you performing Hotel California. Great. And if it was a great performance.
I don't remember
Oh, yeah, it said Annie.
having a video of a performance of that song.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's let's talk about the name too, because that's the reason I wasn't
Was it
sure
a
if it was
solo
you.
acoustic? Was it a solo acoustic
Yeah,
performance?
yeah.
Oh, that could have been. Somebody could have been, you know what?
Huh.
I wouldn't be surprised if somebody videotaped on their phone and then put it up on YouTube.
That's what it looked kind of like, but yeah.
That I think that could have been me.
But the reason I ask is it's amazing because who's not an Eagles fan? I was just kind of checking it out, see what it sounded like. I thought, wow, for a female singer singing, like song sung by Don Henley, I mean, you really kind of rocked it up, and you made it really kick ass.
It is a challenge when you're a female doing a guy song, or when you're a guy doing a chick song. I mean, it's really, you gotta kind of make it your own and have fun with it.
And what's that extra pressure like? Because I imagine you read all this stuff about chicks that rock and rocker chicks, and do you feel any of that added pressure, or you just kind of go in and do your thing? And
It's kind of strange because this record is not a rock record, and I've always been a rocker chick all my life, and I've been on and off. Okay, it's been in and out of the rocker chick thing.
Yeah,
I kind of wear two hats.
Your influences, because again, I hear maybe a little like Tom Lansmore said, maybe a little Janis Joplin, and again, the music I was listening to off the new album's kind of a little more melodic than what I typically listen to, but at the same time, they were great songs, great written songs. I think again, I myself, I listen typically hard rock and metal, but I have appreciation for like the Eagles, Tom Petty, even Bob Dylan, and you know why? Great songwriters, right? And you just can't argue with a great sounding song.
Yeah, my biggest influence vocally, if I could aspire to sing like anyone, it would be Ann Wilson of Heart.
Oh wow, that's pretty good.
Rock.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
I mean, people think of Heart from the 80s, they think of like the big power ballad alone, but you go back to the 70s, listen to like Crazy on You or Barracuda. I mean,
yeah,
Barracuda,
it's hot. It's amazing.
Barracuda is almost like a full-blown on metal song.
Yeah. Right. In fact, I'm thinking about a Heart song to cover.
That would be cool. Yeah.
I've got the wheels are spinning.
Yeah. So Tom, was there any that went into signing Annie besides her obvious talent? Like, oh, she's a female artist. We could get a female artist on the label.
Well, first of all, I don't look at it as male and female. We look at it as talent. And she's super talented.
Yeah.
And plus, we're probably going to release some of her back catalog too. We've talked to her about that. She's put out a lot of records. I mean, you don't know. I mean, she's been doing, how many years have you been doing it, Annie?
You know what? I'll tell you something, Tom. October is my 30th anniversary of performing an original song ever. My first time performing an original song in front of an audience.
Nice.
It was at a place called the Met, the Metropolitan, or whether they call it the Met in Reno, Nevada, in October of 1993. I performed an original song that I wrote called Follow My Heart. 30 years I've been writing and performing in front of audiences. It's just it just blew my mind the other day. I was thinking, holy, it's 30 years in October.
Yeah. Hey,
I'm glad when you're having fun.
how many albums have you released over the years?
Well, this is the 10th CD of my career.
Wow.
Not all of them have been released though online, in all the online stores. So I've sold, CDs at my live shows. So the only people that might have a copy are people that have seen me live. I never put the product.
Yeah, see, Tom's right about that. I think once you push for a new album, is to get some of the back catalog re-released maybe, because I know like if I get the new album, I like it. I'm probably gonna like, hey, what's she done before? I'd love to check it out. And there's so many artists these days that a lot of times the back catalog isn't even available because they were signed to a previous record label, maybe doesn't even exist anymore, or somebody else owns the rights. So I think that would be cool, because then people are like, oh wow, look at all this music she's done. We weren't even aware. This is great stuff. And when you go on and do live shows, you can kind of mix it up a little more.
It's funny because without a label behind you,
Yeah, sure.
you don't have that big push of online sales. Most of my sales were at my shows, like 99.5% of my sales of any record were at my live shows. And I've had, some CDs up on, Spotify and stuff like that. And the sales online, it's not the same. People are going to buy your product when they see you at a show. And now it's fine. People not as many people have CD players anymore.
No,
So
see,
that's like a download card though, however.
Well, I'll be honest. I was just sharing with Tom before he came online here. I'm a real old school guy, but I love to still have a physical product. I mean, I just got this, the Ronnie James Dio movie, and I mean, a lot of people are like, oh man, I don't even have a DVD player anymore. But no, that to me, I love to hold it in my hand, be able to look at. Same thing with an album cover. That takes me back. I mean, that proof that me and Tom are a little older than you. I remember going to things we used to have called a record store, where you'd go and buy the music, Tom. Kids today, what's a record?
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember just hanging out, in grade school and high school, and like just hanging out and listening to records with my friends and looking at the album artwork and looking at the jacket and the sleeve and everything. And kids don't do it anymore.
And Tom, I got to take it a step further, because even talking about your own band, Held Hostage, I mean, you were sharing with me. I mean, a lot of the mainstream bands. I mean, there's not even, if you go to a local Walmart, there's not much of a music section, but Tom's band, they have their CDs sold in Walmart, and Walmart, he was telling me, just reordered a lot of their back catalog. So that's pretty cool. That even a national act like Tom, they're able to get their CDs in something like Walmart. That's so cool.
Walmart and Target, Barnes and Noble. Of course, now Annie's going to be the same thing. Annie's CDs are going to be available at Walmart, Target, Barnes and Nobles. I think it's 900 record stores across the nation. You'll be able to buy it.
That's pretty impressive. And let me ask you, Annie, how did you hear about this label? Was it through your manager? Because you could have had no way of knowing what a great label this is. I mean, they're kind of just at the point where they're getting ready to launch. But I know from what Tom's told me, they got a lot of professional music industry people involved with the label. I don't know if he shared this with you. Michael Brandville, who's the publicist for the label, he's worked with everybody from Kiss and Wasp.
I know. Think of an opportunity that I get to have. I never would have had this opportunity before. I've been,
you get the same publicist. I know he's also currently handling PR for Foghat. I mean, how cool is that? That's the level you reach because of your talent.
I feel really honored to be working with JROCK and Tom, and everybody is so cool at the label. It's like it's been. I just can't wait until the CD is out there, and we're doing more with it. And oh my goodness,
and not that Tom needs me to pump him or the label, but I got to say, I think he's a perfect guy to be the president of the label, for the fact that what I dig about it is it's a label run by a guy who's an actual artist himself.
Right.
As opposed to somebody just in a suit who knows nothing about what it's like to be on the road. I mean, and so Tom is very, I know, artist friendly. And I think that's what's going to make this a successful label.
Such a unique opportunity for me, because I wouldn't want to have a label, with a president that doesn't get it the same way. obviously gets it. I mean, it's like it was, I was always kind of scared to look for a label because you hear these horror stories of these
Sure.
artists that just get totally screwed over by the label. And so I was like, man, I don't want that to happen to me.
Yeah.
So now there's an opportunity of a lifetime for me. I'm just really just feeling very blessed.
And it's great when you have
Exciting.
such a supportive label behind you, Annie, because I mean, I can even tell you of what I do, like doing these interviews with people. I've been doing it long enough, but I got a little bit of a following, but it's amazing. Like you post something on YouTube, like I had an interview with an up and coming band that nobody ever heard of. And I can't even tell you why, but it got like over 5K hits. And then an interview with Carmine Apiece gets like 16 views on YouTube. And I don't understand quite how that all works, but you know what? Love what I do, so we continue to do it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
You
one
can't
thing
not do it.
Yeah.
One thing I think is really important about our label too, and Annie knows this, we don't take publishing rights. The artists retain 100% of their publishing rights. That's where the money is at. If she takes off and her album sells, she doesn't want Fire Rock stealing her money, and we don't want her money. We want her to be successful, and that's what it's all about. I mean, she gets in a movie deal, whatever happens here, she owns those songs. We're just licensing them, is all we're doing. She retains 100% ownership. The other labels are taking their publishing rights from the people.
Yeah, I mean, you hear those horror stories all the time. For years, I remember hearing John Fogerty from Creedence Clearwater Revival talk about how the guy that owned his record label, they got all the rights to the band's song, and so like there's a point in his career for 10 years, like in the 80s, where he just refused to play any of his hit songs. Just I'm just going to record new stuff, and luckily got all the rights back. But you hear stuff like that, so it's great when an up and coming artist like Annie doesn't have to deal with stuff like that.
Thank goodness.
Well, let me ask you, Annie. So, where are you from? Where's home base for you right now?
So I am originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Hey.
Cheesehead. I'm a cheesehead.
Yeah, the Fonz. Yeah.
And it's interesting because I originally, I started playing music in 4th grade. I learned how to play the organ.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't really, have plans to become a musician when I was a little kid. I wanted to be a movie star, but my dad said to me when I was 7 years old, "Oh, that's a tough business."
Wow, wow.
And so that kind of shut my dreams down of doing anything in the entertainment business. And then I went on to go to, I was actually in a PhD program in Reno, Nevada.
Wow, wow.
Get a degree in clinical psychology, and that's when I got really, really depressed.
Wow.
I knew I was in the wrong place. And that's when I came home and I called up my college sweetheart and I said, "Hey, would you teach me how to play guitar?"
Wow.
And it was that fall, I went back to Reno because I wasn't sure if I was going to quit graduate school or what I was going to do. I worked so hard to get into this PhD program, and I played that song at that open mic.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is what I need to do. It brought me so much joy.
Wow.
Much joy. It was ridiculous. And I was really depressed being in that PhD program. And so after that, I stayed in Reno, lived in Reno for 6 years. I put a band together in Reno. The band moved up to Seattle for a very short time because shortly after we moved up to Seattle, we broke up.
Wow. Could you imagine Seattle during the grunge era?
Yeah, we moved up there in like 1999. Because the music scene was still like awesome, like every night of the week, Sunday night, Monday night.
Wow.
Every bar that had live music was packed. Every bar that had live music had a really good crowd. Monday night, Sunday night, every night of the week. And we loved it up there for the short time that we were there. Yeah. But I always wanted to move to LA or New York. And so after the band broke up, I was like, I'm moving on to LA.
There you go.
I lived in LA for 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I've been, and then after that, I actually lived in my car for a year.
Oh, wow.
Driving around the US looking for gigs and couches.
Wow, wow.
And I did that for a year. And then I lived in Austin for a short time. And then I ended up back in Wisconsin. I came home to visit my family.
Wow.
In December of 2007. And my mom was in the hospital and my dad had Alzheimer's. And he was like staying on my sister's couch.
Wow, sorry to hear that.
And so I was like, I guess I'm not just coming home for a Christmas visit. I guess I'm gotta take care of my parents, because all of my siblings all had full-time jobs and
Wow.
kids.
Yeah.
Nobody could take care of my parents. Somebody had to take care of all of their stuff because they had to move from home
Wow.
to assisted living. And somebody had to take care of 60 years, 59 years of a marriage,
Wow.
of their
Yeah.
belongings. And
Yeah.
so I knew at some point while I was away from Wisconsin for 16 years, I knew at some point I'd end up back in Wisconsin. I didn't know when or how until it happened.
You're there now. Now let me ask you before we get ready to wrap it up. Do you have an album release date? When are you guys looking to get the album out?
We're thinking like April.
April. Wow. Okay, great. In the new year, what a way to kind of rock 2024, huh? Yeah. Well,
I
that's
mean-
great. That's great, Annie. I tell you, just such a breath of fresh air. I can't. You think there'll be a couple more singles come out before then?
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's why we're waiting until April to release the record.
Okay. And
So,
probably a music
plan-
video or two. Yeah.
The plan is to have a single out before the end of the year.
Okay.
And then one or two before April. And so that's the plan. Plans can change.
Sure. Sure.
You never know what's going to happen. I mean, so
Yeah.
that's the plan right now.
Okay. Well,
And
we'll
so
stick
we're
to it
going to
for
do
now.
our best to stick with it.
Annie, like I said, you're just such a fresh breath of air. Great talking to you. We're definitely going to have you back once the album comes out. I promise you that. So you're welcome
Jay,
back
thank you
here.
so much
anytime.
for having me. And Tom,
Yeah.
and Tom,
You have a great day.
it's such a pleasure being connected here.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Andy. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Take
Take
care,
care.
guys. Bye bye.
Thank you so much.